Hey everyone, we just stopped for a minute to do a couple things, but we're going to continue on with the tour. And anyone who's watching this, I'm going to write about this, but if you could contact your legislators, did you hear the story? He has gone to all of these lengths. This place is spotless. And to redesign his entry, to redesign the games, no one from the government has contacted him. No one has come to inspect him. He's getting absolutely no guidance from Cooper about what's expected. It's just kind of at his whim. They thought they were going to be open today, but they thought they were under phase 2. Apparently, they found at the last minute in the middle of training to get ready for today that they were not. That's just heartbreaking. These are the kinds of things that are happening to our small businesses. The amount of time and money that has been invested, at least 60 people are employed here. And this is just one story. So we're down here, and I'm going to, Steve, if you could tell me a little bit more about what you want us to see down here.
Yeah, so one of the throughput areas that we really struggled with and how we're going to make this work was our cafe and our redemption, which are so close together. So what we have done is, and I can show you, we've basically created, this is a dead end, okay? And this is the line to get into redemption. What we found is the biggest concern would be if the line started to build at redemption and the people who are exiting have to cross through them. So something that we have decided to do, this is the start of our redemption for when kids want to get their prizes, okay? But if it was to build up, we have the ability to take people into our party rooms, which are not functioning. We'll just create a stanchion line through here that gets people off the floor so that people can exit the redemption side safely. And I know it doesn't seem like much, but
no,
we have the ability to get people off of each other.
These are all things that you have gone to the trouble of designing.
So this goes down, and this we take you up and around and back through here. So when I get done, everything is passed to them in a basket, which is what Burger King does and the fast food does. So we don't have any tickets. We have cards. So everything is scanned. We don't have to touch anything, right? So when you exit this right here, by being able to move this the longer line in through the party rooms, now I'm able to egress here without crossing paths with anybody, or at least eliminating most of it. The other thing that we really wanted to do, you asked us where we learned or who's coached us up or whatever. Everything that we've done has been at the mercy of what we read, what we see online. Some of the CDC recommended, that you have a holding spot if somebody got sick or somebody, felt like they were not well. So we've now turned this party room, what would be, into a sick bay, so to speak. So if somebody showed any signs or didn't feel well, we could bring them in here and they could sit comfortably, secluded from the public. And if need be, we can take them out the back door and, into their ride home or even into EMS, whatever has to happen.
That is incredible customer service. Very good. But this gentleman has spent an enormous amount of time, energy, and money getting himself ready for what he thought was phase 2 reopen. And he found out at the last minute, as everyone else who's in the bar, gym, a number of other people. There's a wedding chapel a woman who owns a wedding chapel who said, hey, they didn't think about me. Now there's no one contacting them to see if they're ready. This is just it seems like it's just on a whim. There's no explanation for why this man who has this very expensive business has to be closed right now with the amount of preparation he's made to keep people further away from each other than they would be at the grocery store. His point of contact, he brought that point up in the video that I just posted above this one, that he has less points of contact here in this place than a grocery store. He doesn't have any product coming in like a grocery store would. There's numerous things. Why are the big box stores open? So there's just not a lot of logic to what we're seeing as to who is closed down. And I'm sorry, did you want to show something here, Steve?
Yeah, I wanted to point one thing we did. We closed the ropes course, we closed the mission control because we didn't feel like we were comfortable, obviously, to have those open yet, okay? So what we did is we acclimated what used to be the check-in stanchion line safety area for ropes course, and we made it into the queue line for ordering food. So now, this is where you're gonna come. We've taken down panels here, And this is where your next, now we've created that pod system for our food as well. So now I'm here with my party and I wait to be called to register 1 or register 2. There is no going left here, right? So we're not crossing paths with the redemption area. That's employees only past that point, right? And that's all marked up. So by doing this, we then have the ability to move traffic this way. We've closed down with tables the sides of our cafe. What used to be a throughput area or a walkway where kids could run and you know, have fun and cut to their tables and see their parents, you can't do that now, right? So we took out a ton of tables, we downsized everything, and now we've made it to where this is a holding cell to eat, like a restaurant would have, and there's only one way out, same way. One way in, one way out. So from that aspect, we feel like we've been able to minimize the crossing of traffic. You still have to be, in our mind, right? Use some common sense. When you go to the grocery store, you go to the big boxes, you find yourself deciding if you want to go down in one direction or another. So, you know, we want people, when the kids are here with arcade games or things like that, to think it through and decide whether or not they want to let their kid play something or do something, or, you know, they have to think about that.
They have to have some
As
personal
parents.
responsibility. I want to go back to something that we talked about in the first and the second video, but in case anybody's watching this, I would like, first of all, please contact legislators that you know. Please contact Lieutenant Governor Dan Forest. I know that he's interested in these stories. Someone, please contact Mark Robinson. Let these lawmakers and potential future lawmakers know what we're dealing with here, because as Stu said, he doesn't exactly know how the coronavirus is spread, because he hasn't been, he only is getting information from the CDC, not from North Carolina. Also, everything he has to decide, basically the two things that he's concentrating on are keeping the flow away from bumping into each other and points of contact. So those are the two places that he knows from consulting with people he's chosen, that those are the places of concentration. That does not come from the government. None of these things that he's concentrated on, fixed, devised, designed, have come from any direction in the government. They're just, you're open, you're closed. It's sort of like picking winners and losers. Now, he has a great attitude. That's I'm throwing in a little opinion there, okay, because he is very respectful of all of the of his customers, of the government. He's not said anything. That's me telling you. That's what I'm seeing in this story as a journalist. That's what I'm hearing that I want to write about. So if y'all could get that information out to people, that would be really helpful. But Steve, so is there anything else that
Let me show you.
we're
I got
still...
two really things I want to show you. We can talk about the laser tag and the spin zone and the go-karts. And laser tag, we've taken out vests. We have the ability now to run 10 vests while another 10 are being cleaned. It's the same kind of thing where you know, clean in, dirty out, clean it and rotate it. What we've done here, and I venture to think the concern here is the fact that when you have this type of a line system and a queue line, people can lean over and they're close to each other. So what we even thought about here was, you see a lot of people putting lines every 6 feet. But when you think about it, if I'm sitting in here with me and my two kids, and I'm at this line going this way, I'm really on top of the next line. So it doesn't make sense. So what we did is, we actually blocked out a section. So it's not a matter of just every line. You actually have a 6-foot space between each block. So in our mind, when you start talking about a 6-foot radius around you, this helps to make that happen. We also staggered it from the other line, so that when I am not here, they can be there. When I can stand here with my group or my family, nobody can be across from me on that side. So it's the little things, and we take this off 4 different times. So don't get me wrong, it took a little bit of doing, you know, but we did the same thing with Spin Zone. We took all of the readers, such as laser tag, and moved them up on the desk to where the actual guests can get to them and swipe their own card. So now, it's important to us. We don't want our employees sick either. So we want to keep them healthy. So they don't need to grab cards. So now the guests can swipe their own card. There's no contact points there now. Okay, there's no tickets on the video games. Everything's kept on the individual's own card. There's all kinds of processes we put in place. One thing I would like to show you is the intelligence that's gone behind our cleaning station. I want to show you guys this real quick.
Okay, and while we're walking, I just want to remind people again that this man is trying to save his business. He's obviously invested a lot of money. This is a very clean, sparkly, beautiful fun park. My daughter has so many happy childhood memories of her fun park in New Hampshire, which is about, I don't know, 60 years old. It is nothing like this beautiful. You could practically eat off the floor in this place. This man's trying to save his business, and he has done it with all respect to concerns that almost everybody could have. He's going to show us something else.
I apologize. Our back room has been our last of our worries. However, we have created a cleaning station that is, there has been a lot of research and a lot of thought process through this. So versus having, our teenagers who work the majority of our floor have to worry about mixing the right chemicals, we've now gone out and we actually have 2 more 5-gallon buckets coming, and now we have a pre-mixed station. We might move this to another location back here, but it gives everybody the ability to just top off their bottles. Hang on, let me see if I can turn the light on in case you can't see.
And so while he's doing that, I'm going to tell you this back room is spotless. This is a highly conscientious businessman, and he deserves some respect from people who are just shutting him down. That's a note to myself when I'm writing this article.
So we have our sprayers ready. There's misters, we've got a fogger. These are the items that are going to give us a more thorough cleaning than just an old spray bottle, but stuff like this. We have an open cleaner, and this has all been approved. This is all CDC approved chemicals. And then this is going to be what we call our closing cleaner. A little more aggressive, right? Made to really sit on there overnight and dry. So that's what we use. The blues are at night, the yellows are during the day, things like that, to try to honestly kind of dumb it down for us and make sure that we're doing it right. Brand new microfiber towels, things like that make us a lot cleaner environment.
Incredible. I worked in food preparation on a beach in a little, called it like a little sugar shack.
Right.
Cleaning. This is incredible.
The old days of trying to put your hands on a spray bottle and hope that you know what's in it or whatever, we had to take that element out of it. It has to be a no-brainer, easy to gauge, and this is just some of the cleaners. We have been stashing cleaners. Honestly, when they started making the announcement that we might have to close 6 weeks ago or whatever it was, my staff included, started buying things they could because we knew we were going to need it. The 409s of the world, the Lysols of the world, the stuff that disappeared so quickly, we actually tried to grab some because we knew if we could open again, we would need a plethora of it just to stay sanitized here. So,
Can you share with me again, when do you think that you are going to be allowed to reopen?
I don't know. I mean, I listened last night
to the news.
On the news last night. I heard June 26th. That's what I heard.
So you don't have a representative from the government who's saying, hey, just heads up, this is any information whatsoever?
No, I saw where I guess they, at the last minute last night, I think, right, made an adjustment on the bars, I guess, if I'm reading that right, and are allowing more of the bars to open. But in that same sentence, they said, but the phase 2 will last until June 26th. And if I'm supposed to read that right, that means they won't readdress a phase 3 until.
So you're guessing. You have to guess what Governor Cooper is going to do. I can only take them for their word,
right? Mm-hmm. The governor said 5 weeks, 6 weeks, so that works out to be about 5 weeks.
And has anybody contacted you about a lawsuit? Because the churches were very successful with forcing Governor Cooper's hands with the churches. And then the taverns, I believe, I didn't get to dive into this too much, but what I think happened was there was a group of people who said tap rooms are not the same as taverns, and so they had a little lawsuit. Now there are restaurants and taverns who are planning a lawsuit. Right. How about gyms? Do you know anything about that?
There is some talk and motivation behind kind of a grassroots push to do the same thing, to put together a voice on a class action suit that will help the gyms, the entertainment centers, things like that, be able to hopefully open sooner.
Can I ask you a question? Mm-hmm. How do you feel about being forced into having to be participating in a lawsuit as opposed to just opening up? Do you have any feelings about that? Anything you want to say?
It's such a fine line we walk, and there's a lot of uncertainties, and there's a lot of judgment, I think, on both sides of the fence for reasons to open versus not open, and we struggle. Our business struggles to try to keep everyone happy, but at the same time fight for our business, which if it's not represented and if it's not, doesn't have a voice, and we can't get our point across of what we're doing here, we have everything to lose. I'm trying to figure out where everyone will be if we can't make it. Are they going to help us? Are they going to? So we have to do all we can.
So you've not gotten any feedback either about if your business goes under and you lose everything and you have to close the door and walk away. The government has not contacted you to let you know what your next steps would be,
No.
if any.
Let's explain this too. I want to make this perfectly clear.
Okay.
People will like to come to me now with where we're going with this conversation and say, well, haven't you got government money? Absolutely we have. We have a great relationship with our local bank, a smaller bank, who's more willing to help. And they were out of the gate with us and we got PPP. Okay, but let's think it through. For those of you that don't have a small business, PPP was put into place. 75% of that money that we qualify goes to payroll. That's what it's there for, and we're happy to do that. We were ecstatic to tell our 25 full-time employees that we could pay them 40 hours a week, whether they were here or not, right? And for the next 8 weeks. So when the PPP hits your bank account, it becomes active, and in 8 weeks, you have to use it in one way or another, right? So 75% was set aside for payroll, 25% was set aside for your mortgage, for your rent, for those utilities. In a place like this, first of all, 25 goes 1 month, if that, and that's strictly rent. Okay, I understand. People are going to say, "Well, you got into the business." I did get in the business. I invested everything we had. It's our responsibility to try to make it work. But you have to understand the PPP money. So when you guys start pointing fingers to say, "Get government funding," it runs out in a hurry. And because now we've been pushed by our local government out another 5 to 6 weeks, we don't have anything left. So what would have been a better plan for PPP would have been, and I think, is to leave my full-time employees on unemployment, okay, and let them stay on unemployment while we get ready to open. And then when we open, let me cash in my coupon for PPP money so that I can pay my staff that has to be bigger than ever in order to facilitate the cleanliness and all of the procedures. And then that gives me, by the way, when we open, it's at a 25% capacity, and then less that for what actually shows up. So it would be nice, even if we open today, my PPP money's about out. So I have to hope I generate enough revenue through the front door with all the scare tactics that are going on and the concerns and the talk to pay those people that I'm paying that would be here.
Yeah, and you're in a different situation than restaurants because restaurants can have drive-through windows and they can at least make something. You can't make anything because it is a fun park. It's dependent on people being able to come through the doors. You don't have T-shirts you can sell or something that you can sell to try to supplement.
It's difficult. And look, there are a lot of people online that it touches us that are saying, how can we help? We're going to make sure that, hopefully when you open, you can come back bigger and stronger. And that helps us rest a little bit, people like you guys that are here today. But at the same time, we don't know what we're going to be able to generate, right? We don't know. I mean, we still have some expenses that go along with the day-to-day to do this, So
How many children do you have?
I have 2.
2 children. Can you tell me about their ages?
I have a boy who just started high school, and I have another boy who's going into, they'll be sophomores and 8th grader. I have 2 boys, and we're in the Wake Forest community, and everybody has been more than helpful, I guess. But what are you supposed to do? Are you supposed to go? We have a certain amount of pride. Are we supposed to ask for donations? Are we supposed to, even if we sell, and people have offered, and we're grateful, but if we sell on some big campaign to sell fun cards, gift cards, all that's going to do is put off the inevitable. Because if we sell 1,000 fun cards to the public today at $20 a piece or something, which would be awesome, that's the money that's going to be brought in when we open. They're going to come and bring those cards, which means we just don't create the revenue in late June or July.
That's a lot. I'm not trying to make you be emotional, but I mean I'm a parent. That's a lot of burden on you.
My kids' prayers include our business now. Let's put it that way. Yeah. More than ever.
Right.
They prayed a ton when we tried to open in 16, and now they're praying, Dad, what can we do to help? And we hope that the business survives so that we can have a normal life again as well.
Right. So it's just really seeing the human side of the government just, willy-nilly sort of making these decisions without coming in and talking to you at all whatsoever. What is the criteria for keeping someone like him shut down? And what are the consequences? Those are the things that we might not know for a while. But this is an American family, and a lot of people should be up in arms about what's going on. Unfortunately, at this point, like he's saying, there isn't a lot that anyone can do to actually help him right now, other than Governor Cooper. The lawsuit route, forcing people to go into lawsuits, is not really optimal. I questioned today in an article about that. Forcing these people who would prefer to just be at work, taking care of their business and paying their employees, taking care of their families and their dreams are here, that lawsuits are not necessarily the greatest way, but if that's the only way that anything is going to happen, people are forced. Here is the difference, the orange balls and the blue balls we were talking about earlier. Steve, is there anything else that you'd like to add in that we haven't covered?
I think the biggest thing for us is for those that are, when we get approved to open, and we talked about it in training with our staff, I think we're just asking for some patience, right? So this is new to all of us, and we feel like we have a pretty good handle on what our crowds are and how they work and how they move through our building. So we think we have a good plan, but if we have to make adjustments, we just want you guys to just be patient with us and allow us to make those adjustments, and not automatically categorize us that we are just all about trying to make money and not about the safety, because that's what's a lot of it's being said. If we didn't care, we would not have put the money and the time into what we have now.
Yeah,
if we
it's
felt
obvious.
like we should just open the door and they would come, I think that would be an arrogance that would go beyond a business owner.
Yeah, it's very obvious that that to me, standing here with you, that concern for people, not just customer service, but the concern for people, for families, is very authentic. It's like, can I say very authentic? Just authentic.
Yeah.
It is
Yeah,
authentic. Please, y'all, I'm going to end this now unless you want to add anything, Steve.
No, we appreciate it.
Listen, I want you all to take these, please pass them on to someone who can help make a difference. I think the point is we really need to get this message to Governor Cooper that the choices that he's making are impacting people in profound ways and their families, and they don't deserve this type of burden when they're just trying to make a livelihood for themselves. Not everybody wants to be dependent on the government. That's a theme that I use constantly, is that there are some people who are more afraid of being forced to be dependent on the government than they are of just about anything else. Would you agree with me on that?
I agree. We want to work. We've worked very hard. We are a bit prideful on what we've been able to build here, and our
It's
staff
beautiful.
and our team wants to come back to work as
And
well.
I'm sure that the community does, because there are parents who want their children to experience a fun summer. They want their children to have happy childhood memories. That is a big thing to me. I am a mother. I have 3 children. And the people in the community who want this place to open up so that they can interact and network with each other and enjoy some socialization. So I'm going to end this here. I'm probably going to follow up with this on an article right away, and then maybe I can come back and get some more and see how they're going. But I'm going to keep up with Steve, Galaxy Fun Park in Raleigh. Thanks for your time. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate it. Thank you.